Hi everyone, this is Thomas on Life Tilt. For this video, we'll be reviewing a exciting hand from the 5550 cash game stream on September 16th, provided by Hustler Live. This is a $84,000 pot between Nick Vertucci, co-owner of the Hustler live stream, Ethan Yaw, who's Rampage Poker, and Randall Emmett, who's a Hollywood producer. I've had some opportunities to play in some 2550 and 5100 games and thought that the following hand had some very similar vibes to what I've seen in my personal experiences and wanted to share my thoughts. The hand starts off with what appears to be some kind of sleeper straddle in the hijack for 100. There's some crazy action that happens within this hand, and to give some context here with the $100 straddle, the hand is effectively more like a 5100 hand, which the commentators do a great job explaining a few hands prior on how this bumps up the action to play very similar to a 5100 game. So don't let the $5 blinds deceive you. Action starts on the cutoff, and it folds to Nick in the small blind, who opens to 600 with ace-queen offsuit. This is a decent sizing considering the amount of dead money out there, and his relative position to the remaining players who are still to act. Ethan in the big blind looks down at king-queen suited, which is a great candidate for a cold 3-bet. He ends up raising to 1800, which serves as a pot-size isolation raise. Action folds to Randall in early position, and the table dynamics begin to factor in here when Randall looks down at ace-10 of hearts. This hand is also a good 3-bet candidate, though with a cold 3-bet already out there by Ethan, I think his decision to call this hand is mixed. I think the call here is fine, but it's one of those hands you need to be very comfortable with navigating post-flop due to reverse implied odds, but you're also always drawing to the nuts. A side benefit is that it also has some relatively decent card removal to some of the stronger hands. Now Nick has a decision here, and I think it's either a flat or a 4-bet as the commentators mention as an option, as both are viable here. Given the stack depth between himself and Ethan, I think either line is totally fine. In fact, I think table dynamics here play a huge role, and Nick is definitely one of those savvy individuals who realizes on specific flops that he can definitely put his opponents in tough situations. The flop is queen deuce deuce with 2 hearts, which is a crazy flop considering the action here. Remember, this is a 3-bet straddle pot, so there's already nearly 6k in the middle. Nick starts off with a check, which is standard, playing in flow, and now Ethan has his first decision of what to do. There are merits to both checking and betting here, but given this specific situation, it definitely makes a lot of sense to continue here with a bet. The only real question is what kind of sizing to choose here. Ethan decides to continue for 1800, which is perhaps on the smaller side facing 2 opponents, but I think it's perfectly within reason here. In a 3-way situation, there is a concept of the other opponents keeping each other more honest, so Ethan won't necessarily have to worry too much about someone going crazy here with a low equity hand or a bluff. Now action moves over to Randall, who has a very clear and perfect situation to go all in for roughly a pot-sized bet. He hit his ideal flop he was looking for, and this jam just makes a lot of sense here. There might be some considerations to just possibly call here and evaluate a turn, but he's not that deep, so I think his idea of getting potentially heads up is a good play. Now it gets back to Nick, who I think has a rough decision here. He's sitting on 24k in his stack, and it's half his stack to call Randall's jam. His holdings should be ahead of Randall's jamming range here, and he can be pretty confident that he's ahead of Randall. The major consideration here is that he has Ethan behind him still to act, so he needs to consider what to do here. He can elect to fold, and assuredly I don't think that's necessarily a bad play given the formation. However, if he's not folding, is it better to call or jam here? Nick eventually calls Randall's jam, and this reeks of so much strength, I think it's the best option here, provided that he's never folding to a rejam by Ethan. Now when it gets back to Ethan, I think this is a pretty straightforward fold with king-queen here. Calling here would be pretty disastrous assuming the other 2 opponents haven't both lost their minds, and jamming is probably the second best option. But the issue with jamming here is that Ethan needs to consider the range of hands that Randall would first jam the flop with, and second, Nick would call a jam with for over 120 big blinds. This range has Ethan's hand in a terrible situation like 99 out of 100 times. That said, Ethan does decide to jam here after some thought. Back to Nick, and I think he has a very clear call situation here with this action. He does tank for a while, but I think it's because it's such a large pot, and I don't blame him at all for thinking here. He does a bit of his thinking aloud, which definitely makes for good TV, and he even suggests that, hey Ethan, you know you're gonna have to get through Randall too, right? So he's definitely reviewing the action blow by blow, and eventually arrives at the decision to call. It's never easy stacking off here, but his decision point was already made for him once he had decided to call Randall's jam here. Definitely a good play here, and by doing this he has all other queens handcuffed. He has removal to aces here as well, so as he calls he asks Ethan if he has kings, which makes a lot of sense here. The three players run it twice, and here's their run out and results.
Nice call. I didn't know.
Twice?
Yeah.
Rampage in big trouble here.
Yeah.
Nick, that was an easy call.
That was a great call, man.
I win the first one?
Nick is going to win board 1.
3. Ace queen. I scoop?
Nick is going to scoop
Oh
it.
my god.
Wow.
Thank you for tuning in for this hand analysis, and a special thanks to Nick Vertucci, Ryan Feldman, and the Hustler Live team for putting together such a professional live stream. Over the course of the past few weeks, the quality of the stream has just gotten better every single time I've tuned in. I encourage you to tune in and subscribe to the channel to show your support for them if you enjoy watching poker streams. I'll leave a link below in the description. Again, this is Thomas on Life Tilt signing off. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to this channel for new vlog content in the Los Angeles and Las Vegas areas.